to say, you should hear it. Oh, I'm happy to make time for your feelings, but you have to admit I already do. Let's just break it down to you and me uptown, dancing all around till the disco ball pops. But I have to be me, and everyone can see your anger is misplaced. And I'm gonna tell ya, don't hate me 'cause I get attention. Don't turn me into what I'm not. I have to be me 24/7, and I ain't never gonna stop. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. No, oh, oh, oh. And I ain't never gonna stop. Come on. Listen to me. I've tried so many times to tell you this is as good as I can be. Why isn't it enough to be faithful and also be the hit of the party? Let's just break it down to you and me uptown, dancing all around till the disco ball pops. But I have to be me, and everyone can see your anger is misplaced. And I'm gonna tell you, don't hate me 'cause I get attention. Don't turn me into what I'm not. I have to be me 24/7, and I ain't never gonna stop. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Never gonna stop. No, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah. I ain't never gonna stop. No, no. Oh, I ain't never gonna stop. I ain't never gonna stop now, baby. Never gonna stop now, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I ain't never gonna stop now, baby. Woo-hoo. Never gonna stop now, baby.
Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome indeed to the 33rd edition, can you believe it, of the Global Online Quiz. My name is Julinka. As always, it's my pleasure to be your quizmaster today. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the studio in beautiful Eindhoven, the Netherlands, where, as you can see, we have the whole crew fired up and ready to go. Behind the buttons, we have Katty, who will be collecting your team photos today. We also have our moderator on the chat, Guido, number 1 of the day. Hey, Guido. And finally, we have a second Guido in the studio, which can occasionally get confusing. And that is the man who will be making sure that all of the proper things end up on your screen when you need to see them. For all the new players, a special warm welcome to you. I will start by explaining what you can expect from today's quiz before we get you started on the actual quizzing portion of things. And on the chat, meanwhile, I've spotted players from quite a few countries already. We've got Norway, Wales, Germany, Hungary, Israel, Belgium, the Netherlands, Latvia, Germany, and Estonia in the house so far. And if I haven't mentioned your country just yet, do let Guido know on the chat where you're playing from, so he can share that info with me. We love to hear where you guys are playing from. So, what can you expect from today's game? The most important thing you need to know if you're new at quizzing with us is that this game is all about the fun. You're going to be keeping score yourselves today, and you're going to be checking your own answers. Of course, if you're lucky enough to be in a local competition, such as our friends over at the Dancing Camel Brewery in Tel Aviv, for example, well, then you may be swapping answer sheets, or you may even have a dedicated person in place checking answers for you. Whatever system works is great, but if it's just you, well, then you'll have to check your own answers, and I'll tell you exactly how you can do that and how many points each question is worth. If you want to share your team photos with us and the rest of the global quizzing community today, that would be amazing. You can submit them to Katty through WhatsApp, and the WhatsApp account can be accessed through this QR code here or the link below, whichever you prefer. We love it if you share a cool team photo with us, showing us where you're playing from, your home setup, or even your surroundings. Make it stand out, and then we hope to be able to show that to everyone a bit later on. This QR code actually allows you to do several things, not just share your team photo with Katty, which is one fun option we have, but you can also use the code to submit your score at the end of the quiz, so we can add it to our global online ranking. And I really hope you will keep doing that, because it's great fun to share that with the world. We always do it on the Monday following the quiz, meaning that even if you are tuning in a little bit later, if you're rewatching this stream for sort of at least 36 hours after it's aired, you can still submit your score and be included in that ranking. It will go up on the website as well as our socials on Monday. And finally, what you can also do with this link is make a contribution if you find yourself enjoying today's quiz. That would certainly be appreciated as well. Now, having said all of that about submitting scores, it is still really good fun to see how you guys are doing throughout the evening. So please don't be shy. Also share your scores with us on the chat when you get a chance. We have printable answer sheets available through our website. If you did print those out, it would be a great time to grab them now, because we're about to get you started. And if you didn't know about them, you certainly don't need them to play along. You can type along on any device, or just grab a few sheets of paper, number them 1 to 10 from top to bottom, and you'll also be good to go. There's one rule, and one rule only, but we do need to mention it at the start of each game. We don't allow the use of any aids other than your collective brains as a team. Basically, that means no Googling or Shazamming or any of that. No cheating allowed. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you'll agree with me that there's absolutely no joy to be had from cheating your way through a quiz. So I expect you all to play fairly. We'll have 6 rounds of questions coming your way today, 10 questions each. We're going to start in a moment with a picture round, which I'll explain to you, and then I'll leave you to it with your teammates. We've also got 2 mixed bag rounds coming your way. We've got 2 special themed rounds lined up, and a music round. It's actually a good old-fashioned music round this time around that we have coming your way as well. We're going to finish on that. I'm going to have some breaks, 6-minute break after round 2, another one after round 4. And that's all the info you need to get you started. So let's get cracking on our first round of questions, the picture round coming your way. And the theme is around the world in television shows. That's right. In a moment, you're about to see stills from TV shows, and each of those shows is primarily set in a single country, or in one case, there's actually 2 countries to choose from, but just pick one. You'll only receive 1 point per correct answer. So 10 TV shows primarily set in a single country, and that is the country I seek. You'll see each image twice. They'll stay on the screen for 15 seconds on end. They'll repeat, and then you'll get a bit more time to finalize your answers before I come back and reveal what they should have been. Let's see if you can guess all 10 of our countries for the TV shows around the world round, and I'll see you on the other end. Okay, that concludes round one, and I hope we're all feeling optimistic. I wonder if anyone thinks they got all 10 of the answers there. We'll find out right now, which means it's time to swap sheets if you're in a local competition, and otherwise whip out a pen for marking, because here we go with the 10 countries I was in search of for the picture round. First up, it was Breaking Bad we saw a screenshot from, and that is set in the United States of America. For number two, it's La Casa de Papel, and this show is set primarily in Spain. For number three, it was Narcos, and Narcos is set in Colombia. At least this version of Narcos, there's also a Narcos Mexico. For number four, it was one of my childhood shows, Skippy the Bush Kangaroo, which of course was set in Australia. Which you could have guessed, I suppose, from seeing a kangaroo appear on screen, even if you weren't familiar with Skippy there. Next up, it's Sex Education. This show is set in the United Kingdom. Great show, I recommend it. And next up, another Netflix original series. This is Lilyhammer. Lilyhammer, one of their first original series, and it's set in Norway, actually. Next up, number 7. But before we get to number 7, now that we're on the topic of Norway, I actually want to extend a very special happy birthday greeting to someone in Norway. One of our regular participants is playing from Norway today. It's Anders, and Anders is celebrating his 33rd birthday on the very day that we celebrate our 33rd edition of the quiz. And his lovely wife sent me a message explaining they've been playing since the very first edition, actually, which we thought was super cool. And we're so happy that you guys have actually been able to enjoy this quiz throughout some rough times, and that you can enjoy it today on this really special day with your beautiful baby girl as well. So happy birthday, Anders. Thank you for choosing our quiz as your birthday entertainment. And here we have the beautiful happy family. Maybe we can zoom in on them for a moment. Thanks, Guido. Look at this. Wow, that is one hell of a birthday party. Happy birthday, Anders, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. On to question 7 we go. This show is actually also set in Scandinavia. It's a bridge, it's called The Bridge, and that bridge lies between Denmark and Sweden, which is why we accepted both of those answers, and that's the only one where we accepted 2 there. For number 8, it was the show All Hail King Julian, and that is set in Madagascar. For number 9, it was Lupin, which was a very popular show on Netflix as well. It's set in France, starring Omar Sy. And finally, question number 10, that was Squid Game. It became the most watched debut series on Netflix ever, and this show is set in South Korea. Really interesting show, if you don't mind a bit of blood on your screen here and there. Before I move you on to the next round, I'm going to give you a bit more time to check your score and hopefully also to share it with us on the chat. We'll give you 60 seconds before we move on to round number 2. Okay, on to round 2 we go. In the meantime, on the chat, I've spotted 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 5, 3, but also 4 teams who have a perfect 10 out of 10. We're off to a pretty good start overall, I dare say. We've also been joined in the meantime by teams from Malta, Denmark, the United States, Austria's in the house, Italy, Bulgaria, Ireland, and Scotland. Scotland are in the house as well. And again, if you haven't mentioned where you're playing from just yet, do let us know on the chat when you get a chance. And now it's time for our first mixed bag round. And a long-standing tradition of the Global Online Quiz is that we shall always kick this round off with a Fun with Flags question. And today's Fun with Flags question is, if we disregard Kosovo for the purposes of this question, as I don't want to have any confusion here, what is the only country in the world, if we disregard Kosovo, to feature the shape of that country on its flag? So to feature its own shape on the national flag, there is one and only one. Which country might that be? And for question number 2, we're going to test your knowledge of planets, the planets in our solar system. Which planet is the second largest to be found in our solar system after Jupiter? It's a gas giant with an average radius of about 9.5 times that of Earth. So the second largest planet in our solar system after Jupiter will earn you a point for number 2. Question number 3 is usually a picture connection, and today, again, is no exception. We like some parts of this format, so we tend to stick with them. We see 4 seemingly unrelated images, a pair of shoes, and some movie character, and a few people you may or may not recognize. There is a single word or name connecting them all in a logical way. Can you figure out what the one-word connection is between these 4 seemingly unrelated images? On to number 4 we go, and as you did such a good job on those television shows, let's see if your knowledge of films is equally good. Can you give me the name of the sports that are the subject of the following 4 films? So I'm going to give you 4 movie titles, and each one has a sport that is clearly the subject of that specific film. Identify the 4 sports, if you can, for half a point each. The first movie I have for you is The Blind Side. Next up, Moneyball. We also have on offer Foxcatcher, and finally, Invictus. Identify the 4 different sports which are the topic of these films. On to a question from the recent news. Which American rapper recently opened a restaurant under the interesting name Mom's Spaghetti? So which rapper recently opened a restaurant called Mom's Spaghetti? For 1 point on number 5. On to question number 6. And for this one, I am in search of an African country. And this particular African country did something special with its capital city. It named its capital in honor of a U.S. president, President James Monroe. Which African country might that be? There's quite a few to choose from, well over 50. Which African nation named its capital city in honor of a U.S. president? And that was President James Monroe. On to question 7. For this one, we've lined up 3 logos, or at least elements from logos that feature an animal. Can you identify the brand that these animals can be linked to? For half a point each, identify the 3 brands these little guys can be linked to. Next up, a question combining 2 topics close to my heart, art and food. I'm actually going to discuss a dish with you, but there is an art connection here as well. The dish I am in search of is based on a Piedmont specialty called carne cruda all'albese, which was invented in 1950 by Giuseppe Cipriani. That is the dish I'm in search of. So the Piedmont specialty it's based on is presumably much older, but in 1950 this dish was invented by the founder of Harry's Bar in Venice. Cipriani is his name. And the dish was actually named after a Venetian painter who is known for the characteristic red pigments he often used in his paintings. We see a few examples here. Which famous dish was thus named after a Venetian painter? So again, invented at Harry's Bar in Venice in 1950, which iconic Italian dish is named after the painter whose work we see here? For question number 9, we're going to have a look at 4 rather iconic buildings. And what they have in common is that they were all built specifically for a World Expo or a World's Fair, as our American friends prefer saying, I think. And I'd like the city where each of these expos was held and thus where you can visit these buildings even today. So identify the 4 cities, if you can, for half a point each. on to question number 10, our final question for this first mixed bag round. And this one too is a bit of a tradition. It is our video connection. So precisely what we did with those 4 images on question 3, we'll attempt to do now with 3 short video clips. In this case, some of them are from movies. There's also a music clip to be enjoyed. And I'm looking for, again, a single word or a single name to connect these 3 clips. So let's see if you can figure it out. Our video connection, here it comes.
Yes! Oh! Yes! 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 Oh! 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 Oh, God. Oh.
Yeah, baby. Ooh, baby. Having me up all night. Yeah. Well, the song Uncle John with bald-head Sally. He saw Aunt Mary coming and he ducked back in the alley. Oh, baby. Yeah, baby. Ooh, baby.
Don't convene another subcommittee to investigate me, sir. I'm teasing. Smile, Senator Wade.
I believe I am smiling, Mrs. Lincoln.
As long as your household accounts are in order, madam, we'll have no need to investigate them.
You have always taken such a lively, even prosecutorial interest in my household accounts.
Your household accounts have always been so interesting.
Yes, thank you. It's true.
And that concludes our first mixed bag round. As promised, we'll give you a bit more time to finalize your answers after each of our rounds. So 90 more seconds coming your way. We'll put the questions up on screen in miniature. Use your time wisely, and I'll return very shortly indeed to reveal what the answers should have been. Answer time it is. Time to swap sheets if you're in a local competition. Here we go with answers for round 2, which could have earned you 12.5 points in total. Let's see how many you managed to pick up. The only country in the world to feature its own shape on the flag is Cyprus for number 1, or Cyprus if you prefer. Either way, it earned you 1 point for our first question, our fun with flags. Number 2, the planet that is second largest in our solar system after Jupiter, that would be Saturn. Saturn for the next point on number 2. The one-word connection I was in search of for number 3 was actually a name. We had Chuck Berry in the top left corner there. Chuck Norris approves of this connection. He was present. We had Chucky, and finally, those Converse All-Stars are actually Chuck Taylors. So each of these had a Chuck hiding in it. Chuck for 1 point on number 3. And half a point each on our sports we were in search of for number 4, the sports which were the subjects of those movies we gave you. First up, it was The Blind Side. That would be American football. Next up, Moneyball is about baseball. Foxcatcher is about wrestling. And finally, Invictus is all about rugby union. So half a point each on these 4 sports. The American rapper recently opened a restaurant under the name Mom Spaghetti, which actually is a reference to a lyric from one of his songs, is none other than Mr. Eminem himself. Eminem opened that spaghetti restaurant for 1 point. Number 6, the African country which named its capital in honor of James Monroe, the capital being Monrovia. Now, if you only know what that is the capital of, then of course that narrows it down rather nicely. It is the capital of Liberia. Liberia for 1 point on number 6. And the brands to match each of our little logos we showed you with the animals in them. The first one is Lacoste. Next up, this is Tux, and he is the symbol for Linux. And finally, Lamborghini also made an appearance in the form of that bull there. So half point each on these. And then our mystery dish. Did you get this? I thought this was such a fun fact. The dish was reputedly prepared for the Countess Amalia Nani Mocenigo when the owner of Harry's Bar learned that the doctors had recommended she eat raw meat. And that's when he came up with carpaccio, still a very popular dish to this day and actually named after a Venetian painter named Carpaccio. For number 9, the 4 different buildings earned you half a point each if you identified the city where they can be found correctly. First up, the Space Needle, constructed for a World Expo, and it can be visited in Seattle. Next up, the Atomium. We don't have to travel too far to visit that. It's in Brussels. Next up, Montreal for the Biodome we saw in photo C. And the buildings we see in photo D, these are pavilions from the current expo, which is going on right now in Dubai. So final half a point for Dubai there. And then 1 more point to be earned on that video connection. Did you figure it out? We had a rather memorable scene from the movie When Harry Met Sally. We also had Long Tall Sally by Little Richard. And finally, Sally Field made an appearance playing Mary Todd Lincoln in the movie Lincoln. So it was Sally's all around for question number 10. So all of that could have earned you 12.5 points. Do let me know on the chat how many your team managed to earn. We'll give you a bit of time to calculate your scores. Then we will go and have a look at our first batch of team pictures. And then I think you have earned yourselves a break. So that's coming your way as well. Okay, I'm already seeing some scores flooding in. We've had some mixed results here between 5 and 9, but even an 11.5. No perfect scores yet. but some pretty nice results overall. Some high scores, few fives in there as well, but never fear, we have loads more points just waiting to be picked up on the next part of the quiz. And before we get to all of that, Kathy's been hard at work collecting team photos, and she's selected our first 4 photos that we're going to share with you, and here they come now. Our first team joining the fun is a team that's in a celebratory mood. Why so serious? Playing from Belgium, and they just got married. Yes, they even were kind enough to share a photo from their special day during our last show, and we are so happy to have you back live on this show, guys. I hope you're having a great time. On to our next team we go, and this is one of our regular teams as well, Les Amici, and they are joining us from beautiful Austria. Welcome on the show, everyone. Welcome back, I should say. Our next team is very creative with their team photo this week. That's a beautiful team picture, guys. From Sweden and Estonia, it is the lovely Genies After One Bottle. And last but not least, we have one more team pic to share before our first break, and this is Lock 2. They are joining us from Belgium, and I hope you're having a lovely time over in Belgium. And now it is time for a well-earned break. As promised, we're going to break for 6 minutes. When we return, I have a mystery round coming your way and our second mixed bag for the evening. Then after the second break, we have a really cool Switcheroo round on the program, and we're going to finish, as promised, on music. So all that coming your way in exactly 6 minutes from now. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Time for part 2 of today's quiz. And before we get you cracking on that mystery theme round, I'd like to take a moment to thank everyone who's already chipped in today. It is very much appreciated. And also everyone who contributed during our previous editions of the quiz. That payment link here, it remains active at all times. So you can contribute at any time, even if you find yourself rewatching this stream later on. And it's been really nice to see that people have been doing that. We really, really appreciate it. If you're new to the quiz, allow me to quickly explain, as I always do, why we ask for contributions. The idea is that if you were to visit a normal public quiz in a pub, you would usually be asked to pay a few euros or dollars or whatever your local currency is to join as well. To sort of cover the quizmasters and crew's hard work. So we hope that if you find yourself enjoying this quiz, you will be willing to do the same out here in the virtual realm. So say, for example, you want to pay 3 or 4 euros each maybe, and if you could combine that as a team and make a team contribution, that would be amazing, because that saves us a bit in transaction fees, which obviously is helpful. So that's something to consider, and we hope that you do if you enjoy this quiz today and you want us to make many, many more of them for you, as we hope to do, because we are not done quizzing with you yet, world. Now, without further ado, it's time for round number 3. It's our theme round, and like I said, we've chosen another mystery theme. That means I won't tell you what it is, but if you manage to figure it out based on a few of the answers you're certain of, then it will help you narrow things down for the others. I can promise you that. So keep in mind that we have a theme, and then hopefully you can use that to your advantage. Here comes your first question. In the 16th century, the Spanish used a term to describe a mythical chief of the Muisca people in South America. According to legend, this man covered himself in gold dust and submerged in Lake Guatavita as an initiation rite. Over time, the myth actually changed, and the term was no longer used for the chief, but for the city, the kingdom, and finally the entire empire. In pursuit of this legend, Spanish conquistadors searched for this mythical empire. What was its name? So can you identify this mythical empire of gold? For question number 2, we are in search of a country, and this country is unique in the sense that it's the only one in Central America that doesn't have a Caribbean coastline. And on another note, last month the country was the first in the world to adopt Bitcoin as an official currency. Which nation may that be? So the only one in Central America that doesn't have a Caribbean coastline. Question 3. Superman was born on the planet Krypton, and his parents actually gave him a Kryptonian birth name. That's precisely what I seek for question 3. So can you tell me what was Superman's Kryptonian birth name? One more art question today. You're about to see a painting, or actually here it is, by the painter Dominicos Theotokopoulos. He is regarded as a member of the Spanish Renaissance, though that doesn't really do him justice when you consider he wasn't born in Spain at all. He was actually of Cretan origin, and his more common name reflects that descent. He died in Toledo in Spain in 1614. By what name is this painter better known to us? So he passed away in Toledo in Spain in 1614. What was his more common name that we know him under today for number 4? For question number 5, we see a spice mix which is found in varying forms in Tunisia, in Algeria and Morocco. And the name for this spice mix, the one I'm looking for, actually means head of the shop in Arabic. It implies a mixture of the very best spices that a seller has to offer. So what is that name, meaning head of the shop, that's given to this spice mix? On to question 6, and I dare say our friends over at the Dancing Camel Brewery will have no problem answering this question. It is, what is the name of the flag carrier of Israel? Founded in 1948, the name of the airline literally means to the skies or skyward in Hebrew, and it has the unique distinction that it's the only commercial airline to equip its planes with missile defense systems. What name am I looking for here? So the flag carrier for Israel. For question 7, we seek the name of a famous rock formation in Yosemite National Park. The formation was the subject of the 2018 documentary film Free Solo, in which climber Alex Honnold attempts to be the first ever to reach the top of this formation without any ropes, harnesses, or any protective equipment whatsoever. So can you identify this rock formation here in Yosemite National Park? On to number 8. This town in northern Egypt played a pivotal role in World War II. In 1942, it was the site of not one, but 2 important battles. In the first battle, the Allied forces stopped the German panzers. During the second, the Allied forces broke the Axis line and forced them back to Tunisia. After the second victory, Winston Churchill commented, "This is not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning." Nowadays, the town is home to several war cemeteries, both from the Axis and Allied forces. What is the name of this town? So, the site of 2 important battles in 1942 during World War II. On to number 9. For this one, I'm in search of a Peruvian song, and this song was written over 100 years ago by Daniel Alamilla Robles. It's probably the best known Peruvian song in the Western world, thanks to Paul Simon, who heard the song performed by a group called Los Incas in Paris back in the 1960s. He recorded a cover of the song for the 5th and final Simon and Garfunkel studio album, Bridge Over Troubled Water, albeit with English lyrics and with the subtitle If I Could. What is the title of this song? So, written by Daniel Alomía Robles, a Peruvian song made famous by Simon and Garfunkel. On to question 10. The final point you can earn on this round has everything to do with a climate pattern. What name is given to the climate pattern that describes the unusual warming of surface waters in the eastern tropical Pacific Ocean? The name I'm in search of is actually the warm phase of a larger phenomenon, which also has a cold phase. But what name is given to that warm phase of this climate pattern that describes the unusual warming of surface waters in the eastern tropical Pacific? Have you figured out the theme is, of course, the question on my mind. I certainly hope you have and that you were able to use it to your advantage. We'll give you 90 more seconds to finalize before we go into revealing the answers. Okay, that concludes round 3. You know the drill by now. Time to swap sheets if you're in a local competition, or whip out that red pen for marking if it's just you playing from the comfort of your own home. The answers for round number 3. And by the way, if you happen to be hearing at any point during today's show some subtle background music, it's actually not so subtle on our end. We are... Our studio is located in a building that is actually taking part in the Dutch Design Week, which is currently going on here in Eindhoven in the Netherlands. And there is a fantastic sounding party going on outside that you may hear some occasional tunes from in the background. So just to explain what that background music may be, sadly, it's not something we can fix, but just enjoy the music. It's on the house. And here come the answers, which are on the house as well. First up, that legendary mythical empire that is El Dorado? For number 1. The country in Central America, the only one that doesn't have a Caribbean coastline, and also the first to adopt Bitcoin as an official currency, is El Salvador. El Salvador. For number 3, Superman's birth name, Kryptonian birth name, that is Kal-El. Kal-El. And for number 4, that painting by a man who's known as a Spanish Renaissance painter, but actually he was Greek, and that is where his name comes from, the one we all know him by today, and that is El Greco. El Greco for number 4. The spice mix from question number 5 is Ras El Hanout. Ras El Hanout, which means something like head of the shop. And for number 6, the flag carrier for Israel is El Allah. Number 7, the famous rock formation I was in search of. Alex Honnold did that fantastic free solo climb of El Capitan. El Capitan for number 7 earned you yet another point. And for number 8, we traveled to Egypt, to the Battle of El Alamein. That is the name of the town I was in search of, El Alamein. Number 9, the Peruvian song, which was made famous by Simon and Garfunkel, is El Condor Pasa. And last but not least, the climate pattern, warm phase of a larger phenomenon. And that warm phase specifically is known as El Niño. El Niño. And you may have noticed, hopefully you did before I started revealing answers, that each of the answers on this themed round had L in there somewhere, and hopefully that helps you narrow it down a bit. I'll give you some time to finalize your score before we go on to our next mixed bag round. And if you do have a moment to share with me on the chat how you got on this round, that would be very much appreciated. I'm curious. What about paella? Well, what about it? It wasn't in the mix today. Wow, you guys, I'm seeing some really high scores. I'm also seeing a 3 out of 10. Ooh, better luck next round, I hope. But some really high scores. I'm seeing 7, 9, even some perfect 10 out of 10s. Well done, you guys. I'm going to kick off round 4 with a bit of a brain teaser. So make sure you have a fresh answer sheet there. Here we go. We see a few parking spots appearing on the screen, and only one is occupied by a car. Can you tell me this? What is the number the car has parked in? So what is the number of the parking spot occupied by the red car we see here? On to number 2. Finally, after almost 2 years of waiting, the long-awaited final James Bond movie starring Daniel Craig is in cinemas, pretty much worldwide. I've already seen it. I really, really enjoyed it. And to celebrate, we are going to show you some iconic Bond girls now. Can you tell me which Bond movie each of these lovely ladies was part of? So can you connect each of these ladies to the Bond film they were rather iconic part of, I dare say? For half a point each, try and get all 4 of our movies. On to question number 3 and our second picture connection that we have lined up for you. Now, I dare say this one is not quite as straightforward as the one we prepared for round number 2. But now that you're warmed up, we can make it a bit more challenging, I hope. So take a good look at everything and everyone you see. We have a band there, there's an album, there's a character from a certain film. Plenty going on and a tasty drink, which is alcoholic, by the way. I'll help you out a little bit there. Try and write down some of the things you see and perhaps a connection will pop out at you. I certainly hope so. For number 3. Another drink is on the menu for question number 4, but this one is definitely not alcoholic, at least not generally speaking. What name is given to this tea-based drink we see here? It originated in Taiwan back in the early 1980s, and it most commonly consists of tea accompanied by chewy tapioca pearls, but it can also be made with other toppings. I'm looking for its name. So the tea-based drink which originated in Taiwan back in the early 1980s. On to a bit of literature we go for question number 5. In a moment, I'm going to give you 3 book titles, but there is something missing from each one, and that something is a food item. I am looking for the food to complete each of these book titles for half a point each. The first one I have on offer is a book by John Steinbeck, which is called Something Flat. Next up, Roald Dahl, James and the Giant. This is where it could get interesting, potentially. And finally, J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Something. So for half a point each, identify the 3 missing foods. On to number 6. Last Sunday saw the Eindhoven Marathon come to town. Always one of my favorite moments on the event calendar in our city. And for this question, we're going to zoom in on some other, slightly more iconic even, marathons. The Abbott World Marathon Majors is a series consisting of 6 of the largest and most renowned marathons in the world. And this year, only 5 of the 6 races were or will be held because the Tokyo Marathon, which is normally on the program as well, was cancelled. I'll give you the list of the 5 remaining races. But what you will notice on our list here is that we have 2 question marks. You guessed it, I'm looking for the 2 missing cities to complete this list of the Abbott World Marathon Majors. Wow, that was a very creative time ticker. Sorry, guys, I appear to have pasted an extra time ticker tune in there, which made it sound like a horse was leading you to question 7. Anyway, here we are, and we're going to try and put something in the correct order for the purposes of this question. In a moment, I'll give you the names of 4 iconic satellites, and I'd like them in order of when they were launched. So a bit of iconic space history, you might say. Put them in order of their initial launch. Let's see if we can manage to do that with all 4 of them. First up, I have the International Space Station. Next up, New Horizons. I also have on offer Sputnik. And finally, the Hubble Space Telescope. 4 iconic satellites, but when were they launched? Try to get them in chronological order if you can. On to question number 8. This little guy here is a so-called jerboa. These are hopping desert rodents, which are found throughout North Africa and Asia, and they somewhat resemble miniature kangaroos. They're absolutely adorable, aren't they? What they are known for specifically is their rather large ears, especially compared to their body size, as I think you can see here. And what we'll do for the purposes of this question is zoom in on some more ears. I've got 4 sets of ears coming your way. Here they are. Can you tell me which animal each of these sets of ears belongs to? So try and identify the 4 animals for half a point each. On to question number 9 we go. And for this one, I'm in search of a country. And this country's name is rather unique in the sense that it probably comes from the name of a type of tree, the tree we see on screen here, as a matter of fact. It's one of the largest countries in the world as well, both in terms of area and number of inhabitants. So which country, one of the largest in the world, has a name that actually can be traced back to this type of tree we see on screen here? For question number 10, we are going on a little virtual trip. We are off. We'll do that in a little video. And in the next 40 seconds through this video, we'll go flying around a certain city. I'll give you a clue. It is a capital city we're about to visit. And you guessed it, I want to know which city are we visiting. Let's have a look. And just like that, we've made it through our second mixed bag round for today's quiz. Again, 12.5 points were up for grabs, and we will give you a bit more time to finalize your answers before we go into revealing them. Okay, time to swap sheets if you're in a local competition. Here we go with answers for round 4. First up, the number of the parking spot occupied by the red car. This is one of those where some people see it in like 2 seconds. They're like, boom, got it. I took significantly longer to figure this out. The correct answer is 87. I was trying to apply math to this, but that really won't help you out there. And it helps if you flip the image, because then it suddenly all makes sense. Number 87, so you had to look at them upside down, and then that would have helped you narrow it down rather quickly. 87 for 1 point on number 1. For number 2, Daniel Craig led us to 4 Bond girls. Here we have them again. The first one is Ursula Andress. Her character was Honey Rider from the movie Dr. No. Next up, it was Famke Janssen, a Dutch actress, and she was in Golden Eye. She played Xenia Onatop. We also had a lovely lady from Goldfinger, Honor Blackman, who played Pussy Galore. They really have lovely names, don't they, these Bond girls? And finally, Ana de Armas, who was an absolute star, at least in my humble opinion, in No Time to Die. So half a point each on all of these. The connection between the pictures, do let me know if you got this and if you enjoyed it. It was a toughie, I'll admit that. We had the band Level 42. We also had MC Hammer. We had the movie Saw. And finally, that cocktail there is if you toss a bit of vodka into some orange juice, you end up with a screwdriver. So we've got a level, a screwdriver, a hammer, and a saw. So we've got a whole toolbox, basically. I was in search of tools or something along those lines for the point on number 3. Next up, the tea-based drink from Taiwan is bubble tea, at least that's the name it's sold under here in the Netherlands, quite commonly, but it's also known as boba. So bubble tea or boba for number 4. And the food missing from the book titles for half a point each was a tortilla, a peach, and some rye, which was probably not the hardest out of those 3. I'm guessing the tortilla may have been the trickiest one. Half a point each on all of those. And the same on the 2 missing cities from our marathon schedule. They were Berlin and Boston. Berlin and Boston for half a point each. Number 7, we asked you to put the iconic satellites in the correct order based on their initial launch. You should have started with Sputnik, more officially known as Sputnik 1. It was the first artificial satellite to safely make it into Earth orbit. The Soviet Union launched it on October 4th of 1957. Hubble was launched significantly later in 1990 and the International Space Station in 1998. Finally, New Horizons is an interplanetary space probe that was launched in 2006 with the primary mission to perform a flyby of the Pluto system. So CDAB was the order we wanted them in. Jerboas got us thinking about ears, and here we are looking at some animal ears. Let's zoom out a bit to reveal which animals we had on question number 8. It is a fennec fox, a squirrel, a sea lion, which is not the same as a seal because seals have little holes for ears and these guys have actual ears, which is the main difference. And finally, the rhinoceros. So half a point each on all of our animals. I wonder if anyone managed to identify all 4 of them correctly. That would be impressive indeed. For number 9, I was in search of a rather large country, which interestingly takes its name from a type of tree. And I was in search of this one here, Brazil. The word Brazil likely comes from the Portuguese word for Brazil wood, a tree that once grew plentifully along the Brazilian coast. In Portuguese, Brazil wood is called pau-brasil, with the word Brasil commonly giving the etymology red, like an ember formed from brasa, ember, and the suffix il, from iculum or ilium. Now we know, Brazil, named for a tree. And last but not least, the city we visited in our final clip was Seoul, the capital city of South Korea. So 12.5 points you could have picked up, but this was a tricky round of questions, I think. Dying to find out how you did as a result. So please let me know on the chat when you get a chance. I'll give you a bit of time to calculate your score now. And then before we go into the next break, Kathy has lined up some really cool team pictures, which we're about to share with you as well. Okay, time for some team photos. In the meantime, on the chat, I'm seeing scores. Well, they vary a bit. 4.5, 6.5, 8. Monica's team did a fantastic job. 11.5. Graham's did a fine job as well. 10.5. Yeah, there's a bit of a mix, which is understandable. Certainly not the easiest round in the bunch today, I don't think. Now, for those team photos, Kathy has been hard at work, and she had a really lovely selection to choose from, I hear. So let's see which one she selected for this batch. Our first teams are Quiznight from Sweden, and they actually have a birthday boy as well. Kits is celebrating his 30th birthday. Happy birthday, Kits. And we also have the Dancing Camel Brewery in the house again. Israel, they've got 3 teams taking part in their local competition today. And here we have one of those teams which has dubbed itself the winning team. I assume you guys are feeling confident today. So do let us know if you managed to come out on top over there in Tel Aviv. Next team is Ekiden Champignons from Belgium, and these guys actually took part in a relay marathon today. Congratulations on a job well done and on the fact that you still had enough energy to take part in today's global online quiz. And our final team photo we have here is Swedway, and they are playing from Wrocław in Poland. Welcome on the show, you guys. Looks like you're having a great time over there. Thank you so much for submitting all those cool team photos. We may have time for a few more a bit later on, but for now, you have earned another break, I think. When we return, we've got that Switcheroo round coming your way. So it's not Answer Smash this week. It is a bit of a twist on that one. And then we've got a proper old-fashioned music round. We're doing title and artist, so you can start mentally preparing for that as well. See you in exactly 6 minutes from now. Hi there! Welcome back to part 3 of today's global online quiz. Before I move you on to our next round, I hope our players in far corners of the world will forgive me for doing this, but I'd like to quickly take the opportunity to extend a little invitation to all of our regulars living in the Eindhoven area or even maybe close by. Upcoming Thursday, October 21st, marks the long-awaited return of the Eindhoven International Quiz Night. We're going to be back at Carousel every single Thursday evening from now on with 6 rounds of trivia fun. And you can join us with a team of up to 5 players. But solo players are actually also very, very welcome indeed. And we will happily introduce them to a fun team in our meetup area, which is a core part of this quiz. We've actually started a dedicated Facebook page as well for this quiz, which can be found through this link, eiqn.nl, so Eindhoven International Quiz Night. .nl, but that was a bit long, so we decided on eiqn.nl instead. I hope to see you all there. And of course, the same goes for our players who are playing from different countries. If you're ever in the Netherlands, please consider paying us a visit. We would love to meet you in person. But you don't have to be afraid that we will be cancelling the global online quiz because we're starting this one again. We love it far too much. We love you far too much, so we're going to keep both of them going. So, on that note, time to take you on to round 5. And that round we have dubbed Switcheroo this week. Allow me to give you an example question here to quickly illustrate the concept. So, we have the capital city of Malaysia being invaded by arboreal herbivorous marsupials native to Australia. That's my sample question, so have a think on it, see if you can figure this out. The idea is that both of these answers have something in common, but one changes the other by a single letter. That's the idea of a switcheroo. So in this case, Kuala Lumpur becomes Kuala Lumpur. And that would be the answer that earns you a full point here. So only if you find the switcheroo answer do you earn a full point. If you find yourself struggling a little bit with this round and you want to award yourself half points for the bits that you did manage to get, you have my blessing to do so. But let's see if you can't figure out the whole thing for most of our switcheroos here today. And the first one I have on offer is actually one that was suggested by one of our regular teams, Team Eurobadgers, but I've been saving this one for a while, so I wonder if you even remember sending this to us. Here it comes. I'm in search of a swimsuit invented in Australia, which is worn by Muslim but also by sun-conscious women. And that swimsuit actually invades a country in Africa, which was previously known as Upper Volta. So we've got a swimsuit worn by Muslim and sun-conscious women invading an African country previously known as Upper Volta. In our next switcheroo, we have a fictional shoe salesman portrayed by Ed O'Neill starting a new career. He's now working as a waitress at the Playboy Club. What does that switcheroo give us? So we start out with the fictional shoe salesman portrayed by Ed O'Neill, and then we start him on a new career as a waitress at the Playboy Club. On to number 3. For this one, we start off with a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical about the governess to the children of the ruler of Siam. And that famous musical now stars a web search engine by Microsoft. So we've got a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical about the king of Siam starring a web search engine by Microsoft. For question 4, we start off with the American athlete who has won an incredible 18 Golf World Championships. This person takes on a lead role in the movie Toy Story. So change one letter in their name to have them take on a lead role in the movie Toy Story. For number 4. For number 5, we start off with a song title, Queen's best-selling single, as a matter of fact, written by their bassist John Deacon. This song is invaded by a reddish-brown oxide formed by the reaction of iron and oxygen. So take Queen's best-selling single and then add some reddish-brown oxide into the mix. Question number 6. For this one, we start off with a singer. This singer refers to her fans as little monsters. Take that person, then change her name in honor of her favorite apple variety, a popular variety from New Zealand. So start off with the popular singer who calls her fans little monsters, and then change one letter in her name to have that name now be dedicated to a New Zealand apple variety. On to number 7. For this one, we start off with a British period crime drama set in Birmingham in England. And that show finds itself with a hole in it all of a sudden that allows liquid or gas to get through. So take that British period crime drama set in Birmingham and punch a hole in it. On to Switcheroo number 8, which has an Academy Awards theme to it. We kick off with the actor who won an Oscar for his part in the movie Training Day. But this person actually changes his name to honor the woman whose name was completely and utterly mispronounced at the Academy Awards in 2014. We see her here. So start off with the actor who won an Oscar for Training Day, and then change one letter in their name to honor the lady we see here, whose name was completely mispronounced by John Travolta at the 2014 Academy Awards. For question number 9, we begin with a European microstate which lies northeast of the Apennine Mountains. And this microstate is actually invaded by a breed of sheep. And these sheep are characterized by their very fine and soft wool. So start off with that European microstate and then change a letter to have it be invaded by a breed of very fluffy sheep. Last but not least, we finish on a 1998 crime comedy film starring Jeff Bridges as the Dude. And that movie now guest stars the animal that plays the lead role in the 1995 film Babe. So take the crime comedy film starring Jeff Bridges as the Dude, then change one letter to have it star the animal playing the lead role in the movie Babe. And that concludes our Switcheroo round. We'll give you 90 more seconds to finalize, and then I'll return to reveal what all of those fabulous switcheroos should have been. All right, time to reveal the answers for our Switcheroo round. I really hope you enjoyed it. We had such fun making this round for you, although they are trickier to come up with, I have to admit, than answer smashes. But every once in a while, we find ourselves with enough to have a go at another Switcheroo round. The answers. For number 1, the swimsuit is a burkini and the country is Burkina Faso. So that becomes Burkini Faso, courtesy of the Euro Badgers, who came up with this brilliant suggestion. Change approved. I'm sure they won't mind over in Ouagadougou. Burkina Faso for 1 point on number 1. Number 2, the fictional shoe salesman is, of course, the legendary Al Bundy, but he is now a waitress at the Playboy Club, and thus we have renamed him Al Bunny for the purposes of question 2. Al Bunny. Number 3, the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical is The King and I, but if we throw that search engine into the mix, we end up with The Bing and I. The Bing and I for a point on number 3. The American athlete who's won 18 World Golf Championships, well, there could really be only one, right? Tiger Woods. But he is now a lead star in the movie Toy Story. So we've renamed him Tiger Woody. Tiger Woody for the point on number 4. Number 5, Queen's best-selling single, which was actually written by John Deacon, is Another One Bites the Dust. But we had some reddish-brown oxide to deal with, so it turned into Another One Bites the Rust for number 5. Number 6, the singer who refers to her fans as little monsters is none other than Lady Gaga, and those famous apples from New Zealand are known as galas. So we've got Lady Gala joining the party for number 6. Number 7, the British period crime drama I was in search of was Peaky Blinders. Fantastic show, but it had a bit of a hole in it today, so we ended up with some leaky blinders for question 7. The actor who won an Oscar for his part in Training Day was Denzel Washington, but he changed his name a little bit in honor of Idina Menzel. So we've got Menzel Washington in the house tonight as well for 1 point. Number 9, the microstate I was in search of is San Marino, but these fluffy sheep are Merino sheep. So San Marino earned you a full mark on number 9. And last but not least, Jeff Bridges as the dude. That would, of course, be the Big Lebowski. But the main animal from the movie Babe is a pig, so we end up with the Pig Lebowski instead for number 10. Again, we had a lot of fun making these. Do let me know if you also enjoyed playing them. Do you want another switcheroo round eventually, or do you prefer answer smashes or different themes altogether? Do share your thoughts with us a bit later on. You can do that on the chat. You can also do it in the comment section when you submit your final score to us. Now, before I take you on to our music round, which we're going to finish today's quiz on, Kathy has one more batch of wonderful team pictures to share with you. So let's have a look at our final selection for today. We had plenty of lovely teams submitting photos. These guys are Team Pippi, and they are playing from Italy. And it sure looks like there's a nice meal to go with your quiz. Hope you're having a great time, guys. And I hope you enjoyed your food. On to our next team we go. This is the Olafs. We know these guys, and they are playing from Belgium, and they have an adorable doggy mascot, which is also something I really enjoy seeing, all your adorable fur babies. On to our next team, and this is one that has rarely missed a quiz. Team FTL, playing from Ukraine, Belgium, and from the United Kingdom. Welcome back on the show, you guys. Hope you're having a good one. And our final team is also a regular team for sure, and they're also super creative with these team photos usually. It's Rio Rules, playing from England and Brazil, and I assume you did a good job on that tree origin country name question. I assume you managed to earn a point there. Thank you for submitting yet another cool team photo. And that's all the photos we have time for this week. It's time to take you on to music. Some of you love this round. Some of you occasionally struggle with it a little bit. At any rate, we've got some very big hit songs coming your way, and we are going to play a traditional music round. We've been mixing it up in recent weeks, and we'll continue to do that, but every once in a while, we do like to do a traditional one where we ask for the song title as well as the artist or band, because we have fans of that concept as well who've let us know that they would really appreciate it. So this is your week. If that's your cup of tea, then here it comes. So 10 famous songs, and what I'm going to show you along with them on screen is a famous album cover. So you'll see the album cover of the album that particular song was actually on. But there's a twist. We've actually used parodies of these album covers just to make it a bit more fun as well. So perhaps you can use that to your advantage a little bit. Otherwise, I hope you'll simply enjoy them. But for the songs, we want a song title and the performing artist or band. You get half a point each, so a full point if you get both of those on each song. You get to hear them once and only once, so I hope you make it count. And I won't do any talking this round. We'll just let you enjoy it as a team. So the clips will play one by one. There will be some time to debate the answer in between and some time to finalize at the end. Hope you enjoyed this music round. There are some really famous songs, I dare say, in there, and I'll see you on the other end. I'm so sorry, guys. I forgot that you needed time to calculate your score on round 5, although I dare say you're probably done now. But let's just do that for good measure, and then I'll take you straight on to the music round. My apologies. Sorry, guys, I was getting ahead of myself. So your max score on that round was 10 points, but you've already submitted your scores, and I see some really high ones, actually. I also see that Geert is a fan of the Switcheroo round. He says, Switcheroo always, please. Well, I can't promise that. We do like our answer smashes as well, but we'll certainly keep it on the program then. Now, without further ado, I've already informed you of what you can expect from the music round. So we've got the album cover parodies coming your way. We want a title and an artist on each song. And now, here it really comes at long last, the music round.
We used to be together, every day together, always. I really feel that I'm losing my best friend. I can't believe this could be the end.
Sprung from cages on Highway 9, chrome wheel, fuel injected and stepping out over the line. Oh, maybe this town rips the bones from your back. It's a death trap. It's a suicide rap. We gotta get out while we're young.
I've created a monster, cause nobody wants to see Marshall no more. They want shady, I'm chopped liver. Well, if you want shady, this is what I'll give you. A little bit of me, mixed with some hard liquor, some vodka that'll jumpstart my heart quicker than a shock when I get shocked at the hospital by the doctor when I'm not cooperating, when I'm rocking the table while he's operating.
Feeling glad I got sunshine in a bag. I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on.
Hey, can you hear the sound of hysteria? The subliminal mindfuck America. Welcome to a new kind of tension all across the alien mission. Everything is meant to be okay.
Okay, that concludes our music round, round number 6. And that means that we can now go to the answers for this one. Time to swap sheets if you're in a local competition. Here we go with the answers. I've actually had to make a small alteration, but we'll get to all of that. Shouldn't matter on your end in any case. First up, it was Nirvana's Come As You Are we played for you. This was an alien parody of the album Nevermind, which that song was featured on. So half a point for Nirvana, half a point for Come As You Are, a grand total of 1 point if you got both of those. Next up, it was a Mario-style parody of Tragic Kingdom, an album by No Doubt, and the song was Don't Speak. So No Doubt with Don't Speak for number 2. Next up, a Muppets parody of the iconic Bruce Springsteen album Born to Run, and that was also the name of the song off of that album. We played for you Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run in a Muppets parody. Next up, we had an Eminem's parody of an Eminem album. Without Me was the song off of that album, The Eminem Show. So Without Me in an Eminem's parody, half a point each for the artist and song title. Again, of course, Next up, a Jeff Goldblum parody on the Michael Jackson album Thriller. The song was Wanna Be Starting Something. Michael Jackson's Wanna Be Starting Something for number 5. And then we move on to the one where I had to make a small rectification here because I don't know what happened. I was going to give you Get Lucky by Daft Punk, but I actually played you One More Time. I was just in a one more time kind of mood when I was editing the audio clips for you yesterday. My apologies. So it wasn't actually a song off the album Random Access Memory that you see on screen here. But I dare say the song is sufficiently iconic. I guess most of you may have figured it out regardless. So One More Time by Daft Punk for half a point each. Next up, Peter Gabriel made an appearance as well. We had a Homer Simpson parody of the album So, and the song was Sledgehammer. Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer. For number 8, it was Gorillaz with the song Clint Eastwood. That's a parody of Demon Days we see here. And Clint Eastwood was one of the hit songs off of that one. Sorry, what's going on? Number 8? Also another album. Wow. I should really have... Sorry. Next time we do this game, I'm going to have Guido actually check all of these because he's our music expert. And sorry, guys. Again, luckily you had the music there as well, so hopefully that didn't ruin it for you. So Clint Eastwood by Gorillaz, that was at least the right song. I didn't mess that bit up, thankfully. For number 9, it was a song by The Prodigy. The song was Firestarter, and I'm pretty sure this was actually on Fat of the Land for number 9. And finally, the album American Idiot with the song of the same title by Green Day. So Green Day, American Idiot in a lovely Pokemon version there for the final point. My apologies. I hope you enjoyed the lovely album artwork we found you, even if it wasn't technically the right one for 2 of those songs. I'm really sorry. I'll do a better job next time, I promise. So guys, the maximum final score for today's quiz was 65 points as always. And our next quiz will be on November 6th, as the new format says every first and every third Saturday of the month we will be returning to you. Please note that for this next date, the Netherlands will be switching from Coordinated Universal Time +2 to Coordinated Universal Time +1. And that means, depending on where you are playing from, that your own local time may change as well. So we may have a different starting time for you next time you join us on November 6th. You can use the time zone checker available on our website to make sure you join us at the right time. I'm just giving you a little heads up here. The QR code slide is going to stay on screen after the quiz has ended. You can use this code to share your score with us. I really hope that you will, so we can add you to that global online ranking going up on our socials and our website on the Monday. So on October 18th, that's going to go up, and we'll include every score that's registered with us until that moment that it actually goes up. You can also use the link, as you probably know by now, to make a contribution. Please do consider doing that if you enjoyed this quiz and you want us to make many more of them for you. And if you consider doing that, I promise I will never make a mistake on album cover art ever again. And of course, do let me know in the comments section or when you submit your score to us how you enjoyed today's quiz. If you have any great facts or suggestions for questions or round, we want to hear them. We want to hear all your feedback. We always go through it after each quiz. We really enjoy reading how you guys enjoyed the quizzes and all the suggestions that you come up with, because some of our best questions have actually been powered by you, our participants. Please also consider liking our video today and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, so you can stay updated on all of the latest with regard to the global online quizzes. And with that, the time has come for us to say goodbye, and we'll do that, of course, with the whole crew in the studio here, because though you're ending up staring at me for most of the evening, it is the whole crew, Cathy, Guido, and Guido, who make the magic happen here. Guido, you want to do a final photo bomb? Yes. Bye from all of our kiddos and the lovely Catty and from myself. Wherever you are in the world, stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe until we meet again on November 6th, I hope. Bye, guys.